Good evening. Welcome back to the Unknown Quantity. I'm Michael Lane, your host this evening. Tom Olson is out. He's got some personal stuff he's helping a friend out with. So I'm running the show tonight. So buckle up. So we don't have a lot of news, which, everybody knows I like doing the news, but we don't have a lot of news this week. So it's going to be that part of this show is going to be a little short, which leaves us tons of time to talk to my good friend, Dallas Bienhoff. Sean will come on and join into that. We are going to talk a little bit some more about Blue Origin, International Space Station, 25 years. We have a remembrance from a longtime space ally. And we're going to dig a little bit deep into a document that just came out by Canada's largest bank. All right. And with that, for the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, I'm Michael Lane. Thanks for joining us. We'll start in a moment. Hi. Well, I'm hoping you already know that this show is sponsored by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. At the center, we champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space-adjacent enterprises worldwide through advocacy, access, and advisory services. Our pitch events and world-class boot camps fortify startups to be better investor-ready. A lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by listeners and fans like you. So please go to cscf.space/support. That's the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, cscf.space/support. And click that donate button. A little in the tip jar makes this whole thing work. So thanks. We appreciate it. And with that, I'd like to bring on our good friend, Sean Key. He's usually in the background, but we're dragging him into the front today. So come on in, buddy.
Very good.
Hey.
I'm pulling double duty.
I know. It's you gotta run the show and be on the show. It's a challenge, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Tom about this. I need a pay raise.
Nobody really understands just how important that whole producer role is, right? But this thing goes off the rails pretty fast if you're not back there. So thanks, we appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. I always have a great time doing this. I'm actually going to do another podcast here coming up soon, but it's more on the entertainment side.
Yeah. I saw a test run the other day. Is that what you're talking about?
No, that was just a testing out a podcast about, I'm going to do something where we talk about technology. I didn't, and then of course, I don't know if you watched it or not, but I did it with the AI agent I have.
That's the one I saw. The one I saw.
But the other one I'm talking about is only a commercial aspect. I have a friend of mine. She's an actress. So we're going to do a podcast together about probably sci-fi.
Oh, right on. Cool. By the way, do you notice your name and my name are surprisingly similar?
Wow, I see that.
Well, no worries.
I'll fix mine real quick.
I'm going to jump into the news. There's not a lot of news, so I'm just going to be pretty speedy about this. Buffalo, great. Thanks for being here, Aiden. Thanks for joining us today. The weather's got to be turning here pretty soon up there for you. It's pretty dark and cold. It's going to get It might be. It might hit the 30s this next week. When I was a kid, you could count on snow for Thanksgiving. Haven't seen that in a long time, but I'm guessing Buffalo, you get snow in Thanksgiving. I don't know that for sure, but that's my hunch. All right. First thing is this NASA 25 years, celebrating 25 years of humanity in space. I think that's a big deal. I have been pretty vocal about ensuring that there's not a gap in people on orbit when we deorbit the ISS. I think that's psychologically important, and we need to maintain that. The only thing I wanted to talk about here was that this November 2nd was the 25th anniversary. That's the official anniversary. All I really want to talk about here was that 290 people from 26 countries have lived and worked aboard the orbiting laboratory, conducting thousands of experiments that have advanced science and technology on Earth and paved the way for Artemis missions to the moon and future journeys to Mars. So really like that kind of soundbite from NASA. I'm a little surprised because I thought that the number was higher than that. I actually made a mistake once on a different show. I think I had claimed that they had 400 people. So maybe that's 400 missions where the people double up and go, multiple missions. Maybe that's the case. But in this case, they're counting 290 people from 26 nations. So I love that. I think that kind of partnership in space is really important, and I love seeing it. So there's more to that article. It's an interesting article. It's a short read, but comment, Sean?
No, I think you just pretty much hit on everything that For me, it's the people in space, the number of people in space. I want to see that number. I mean, like I mentioned before, I think it was on last show. I think our next milestone is figure out what's the maximum number of people we've had in space in a year, and have that at one time. That should be our next milestone. But other than that, yeah, this is just a great piece about what humanity can do when they put their mind to it and set aside their differences.
Yeah. We just found out from Dallas that he worked with Boeing and the Russians on the very first element of the ISS, which I did not know. So we're going to have to talk about that. So I appreciate that little detail. The next piece of news is Blue Origin. We talked about them a lot last week. We talked about them being a game changer, and some of the frustrations that you have of being a fan for a company that is notoriously slow. But 1 week after sticking the landing, they're like, yeah, that's not quite good enough. And they come out with an entirely new, upgraded design that'll move us from, about 45 tons to about 70 tons. So that's a pretty big deal. Was not expecting that, especially this quickly. Go ahead.
I think they probably had that in stealth. And
of course they did. Sure.
And once they stuck it with the new Glenn, they're like, okay, that should, they probably answered a lot of questions for them about feasibility with the bigger rocket. So they feel pretty confident with this.
Yeah. I'm excited about this. I would not have guessed that they were going to do an upgrade quite so quickly. People have been sharing pictures online the last week about the difference between 7 thrusters on the current New Glenn version and the 33 thrusters that SpaceX is kind of famous for. But that's the big upgrade. They're going from 7 and 2 with the current heavy variant, moving up to 9 and 4 with the new super heavy variant. So pretty cool. Kind of like that. This is their quote: the added capability will put Blue Origin in play for missions centered around quote mega constellations, lunar and deep space exploration, and national security imperatives such as the Golden Dome. That is a big deal because Golden Dome, the first piece of that got approved, 2 days ago, I think, about what they're looking for and the requirements and the capabilities. So Golden Dome is still evolving, but it's evolving pretty quickly, and Blue wants to make sure they're at the table for that. So I think that's really great. I like it, and jumping from 45 to 50 tons up to 70 tons basically in a weekend is pretty cool. I'm pretty much a fan of that. So I'm curious if they have 100-ton system up their sleeve to go head to head with SpaceX. But reminding everybody, SpaceX recovered their 500th rocket 2 weeks ago. So it's going to be a while till Blue can catch up to that level of sustainment, cadence, capability, come back from errors, blow shit up, and fix it. So they are still the game to be in this game. SpaceX is still going to be hard to beat, but it's really exciting to see Blue step up in such a way. So cool. Anything else, Sean?
No, I'm just curious to see what SpaceX's response is going to be. If they just shrug it off, or they go absolutely, make a comment about it.
They didn't. I didn't see any big posts. Maybe I missed that because I don't spend any time on X anymore. But I didn't read any sort of congratulatory message in the news. So, all right, this next one, Sean, you don't have this one up, so I'll post it. This next one's a little bit sad. A longtime space ally, David Chervant, died unexpectedly yesterday. Sean, you may remember him. He was one of the guys in the background when we were starting to figure out the logistics and shipping containers and standardization and packaging. He's been around this sector for decades. I probably first encountered him certainly during the first version of Liftport. I know that he had a storied career in NASA and in kind of the civil version of space, but that's not where I encountered him. I always encountered him working with kids. That's how I will remember him, as working with kids. He was always a champion of students, usually between 15 and 20. Sometimes you'd move into college and it'd be 15 to 25. But business plan competitions, engineering competitions, if it dealt with space and kids, he was at that intersection. So really had a lot of respect for him. I had been a coach on several of his programs, working with several of his students. And so he was a great guy, and it's going to be a loss. And I don't know how that's, who's out there with his credentials and his longevity to take this on and, I don't say replace, but be the mentor that David was. So that's too bad. We miss him. I was very surprised, actually. I hadn't heard that anything was wrong with him. So they talk about a sudden passing. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's partly the reason why I came back to the industry. I'm getting a little bit older, and I want to pursue my passion. You know, some people have had the benefit of pursuing their passion in a long time. I had family obligations I had to take care of, and once I was taken care of, I seen an opportunity that I can go back and pursue my passion. That's why I'm here, and God bless him for pursuing his passion and passing it along to children, young people.
Yeah,
you know, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
he should be celebrated.
Yeah, no, he was always pretty humble. He was kind of a steady voice in the sector. In a community that tends to have the loud voices, it was nice to have somebody who just knew what he was doing and just kind of did it.
Even Steven.
Yeah,
it's cool.
All right, gonna shift gears again. This is what I kind of want to spend the next 15 minutes, 10 minutes on. Maybe I won't spend that much time on it, but there's a pretty interesting article. Couple things to note before we even dive into it is that the Royal Bank of Canada is the largest bank in Canada. While they don't have the same level of assets as, say, a JP Morgan, it's still the largest bank in Canada, and they are trying to decide what they do in this sector. And honestly, I was surprised that this came out at all, right? I don't think of RBC as being, a leader technologically, a leader politically or socially up in Canada. When I've lived up in Canada twice, Montreal for a year and Vancouver for a year, and they always seemed just rock steady in the background. I had not ever encountered any situation where they were out trying to shift policy. Now, maybe that's because I'm not Canadian and I don't know the inner workings there. But my 2 years in Canada, I never saw anything like this. So I was pretty shocked by this document. And the only reason it caught my eye, I'm going to skip all the way to the end for a moment. The only reason it caught my eye is this. It's a little hard to read. Maybe I should blow this up a little bit. Dr. Alexander McDonald is the now retired chief economist of NASA. Now, a lot of people don't even know that NASA had a chief economist. To my knowledge, they did not replace him, so I say had and I'm not saying has. But he's Canadian. I knew that. I've got one of his books. He's got a really interesting book that says that the commercial space sector started in the middle 1800s. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. But his argument is that building telescopes was a community point of pride, and that lots and lots of cities built their own observatories, and they did it with crowdfunding, and they did it with government bonds, they did it with private capital and private investment. And it's true. There's one of those community telescopes right here. I'm about 13 miles from one of those community telescopes. So it was really fascinating to read it. I have a lot of respect for Dr. McDonald. I've had him on the show 2 or 3 times, and it just popped up on my LinkedIn as a read, and so he's the lead author on this. So, Sean, you want to jump in? I'm not really looking at you, so I can't see if you've got something you want to say.
I just did a quick search. So the Dr. Akil Rayo is the chief economist of NASA right now. That's a kind of.
All right. So we have one. I didn't know that they had replaced him.
I don't think they announced it loudly. So, but that's what a quick search says. So it could be wrong, but
Cool.
I'm pretty sure they went to the site, to the NASA site.
Right on. All right, cool. Well, so this article from Canada, we have spent a lot of time talking about sovereignty. So this article is saying, look, there's 5 main reasons to do this. First of all, they're doing a comparison, Canada to United States. There's a 17x investment gap. Candidly, I kind of thought it might even be higher than that. Institutional space budget as a percentage of GDP. So our GDP is pretty high. Our commitment to civil space is pretty high. I would have expected that number maybe even to be higher than 17. So I'm a little surprised by that. But basically, this report is saying, look, with some well-placed dollars, we can move from the bottom. Canada lags all OECD space peers. So they're at the bottom right now compared to France, Italy, Germany, Switzerland, Korea, Norway, UK, and the Netherlands. And they're like with about 13 billion well-placed dollars, we actually could really jump this
to 21 billion.
Yeah, and that's crazy, right? 4x leap. So they've got 5 main areas that they want to build around. Sovereignty. We keep talking about sovereignty. It's come up at least 20 times in the last couple months. Not an exaggeration. Defense. Becoming an essential ally in the Arctic. I thought that was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. And they want to be included into the Golden Dome architecture. Technology using satellites to secure a digital leap. Commercialization, research and development, and finally climate studies.
I mean, I think it's actually I think it's a really good idea, good investment for them. Under those 5 things right there. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I was thinking about is how could you spot that trend if it's working? And the first thing I would notice if there's a gap is talent not leaving, is talent staying in the country.
Right. I don't know if I could find it in this document, but it says something about our best radar people are beholden to Alexandria, Washington, D.C., and our best software people are going to Silicon Valley. Yeah, they said that. That brain drain is it's tough. It's tough up there.
That's a signal, though. That would be the signal to watch if their talent is staying put or slowing down from leaving or drops. Then you might see it. This might actually play out beneficial for them.
Yeah. I thought this was an interesting piece about what they can learn from global space leaders. So they're saying United States is really good at strategic procurement and market power. China's about state scale and regional leverage. Japan, defense imperative is state finance. I don't understand the state finance one. That one's interesting. And then Germany.
The same thing about Germany's state financing as well.
Right.
Which is odd because considering these two's history of state financing enterprises.
Well, we've talked a lot about how Germany has 40 billion and Japan has got 8 billion.
Yeah.
Dedicated to the defense side of space. We've talked a lot about China's 25,000 satellite constellations. So they're like, look, these are the organizations to watch. I'm a little surprised they didn't throw in India in here, because honestly, I think they're a nation that's worth watching. And then they throw in some outliers: United Arab Emirates, South Korea, Australia, Norway, United Kingdom, and New Zealand.
Well, we're about to see a multi-country space race.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if their projections factored that in.
With the exception of building a base on the moon, a base, not just flags and footprints, I don't see there another race evolving anytime soon, because that implies that it's the same ultimate destination. This is something I was teaching at ISU a bunch of years ago, that with this many actors, this many budgets, and this many potential destinations, a space race like we knew it before isn't really a thing, with the exception I just noted. So you got to have folks focusing on the same target for it to be a race. But yeah, there's a lot going on for sure.
Well, maybe we can get our buddy Tom Moreau to help him establish spaceports for him.
Exactly right. We're gonna have Tom Murata on the show next week, and
next Monday.
So
our only episode next week, folks. Because it's Thanksgiving coming up.
Right. I do want to point this one out. Right. So here's New Zealand, responsive small satellite launch market. But this lesson for Canada really kind of stuck out to me. A small nation can dominate a global niche through regulatory agility and geographic advantage, and most importantly, backing and building off the success of a single world-leading space entrepreneur. And of course, they're talking about Sir Peter Beck. So I really like that. And it's like, look, one person can change the whole trajectory of a nation if you back that guy. So
I wonder if they had somebody in mind in Canada.
Well, there have been a couple attempts at building their own rockets. There is one up there that's a super small return vehicle that they're working on. Like I think it launches vertically and lands horizontally. I forget what it's called. They haven't actually built it yet. I mean, it's in development, but it hasn't actually launched. And they've tried. There were 2 or 3 teams during the original X Prize days that were trying to build something. And there's talk about building some spaceports up there, but so far as I know, Canada does not have sovereign launch capability. And they won't for a while, but there are 1 or 2 companies trying to do it.
Well, let's bring our guest on, and maybe he has an idea or an opinion about this.
I'm gonna point out 2 things more, and then we'll cut it off. This section is kind of self-serving. Companies employ more than 10,000 Canadians and generate $5 billion. He's got like a half a dozen companies in here, but this company, it's effectively the Raytheon or the small Lockheed Martin of space in Canada, and they probably are, half. Okay, 3,800 people. But interestingly, 3 of these companies, Kepler started just about 10 years ago, and then Mission Control. These are both ISU related companies, so they've done really well in just a short amount of time. So, all right, with that, I'm going to leave it off to you guys to read the rest of this document. It is interesting, and thank you. Let's move on.
All right. Okay, you ready? You want to go ahead and introduce our guest?
Sure. We're going to bring on Dallas Bienhoff. He has been in the sector for a long time. I'm going to let him give his background. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, Michael. Sean, how are you guys?
Good,
Doing
good,
great.
good.
I'll be
Thanks
right back.
thanks for joining us. You feeling better after last week?
I am.
Good.
Colds are bad.
Yeah,
You know, knock me for a loop, I tell you.
that's too bad. That's too bad. But I'm glad you're feeling all right. All right.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us your background? Give us your origin story. Who are you? Why you've been doing all this for such a long time? Why do you care?
Yeah. So like a lot of folks my age, I grew up with the space program. I remember listening to the Alan Shepard suborbital launch on the radio at the back of our elementary classroom. And that classroom was in a school called Mascot in Nebraska.
Okay.
And about the same time, I discovered science fiction. And also the librarian of the bookmobile that came to our school, because Mascot was a small community in the middle of farm country.
Okay.
She made sure that there were always science fiction books on the bookmobile that I hadn't read.
Nice. That's awesome.
And so, I traveled the universe before I was 12. Excuse me.
I have my collection of
Yes.
Yeah.
And I continue to do that. I still read science fiction when I have some time to read and make time to read.
Anybody in particular? Like, you kind of grew up in the golden age of science fiction, so
all of them: Anderson, Asimov, Polson, Niven.
Yep.
All of them. Heinlein.
Yeah.
I don't think I could name all of them.
Yeah, right. I just was there anyone in particular that really kind of pointed
the
you?
The most recent ones that I've read, which are a series of books. One's by, I think it's Jemison, Alexa Jemison. No, Alexa's a character name, and then the other one is I think was Morales, the space accountant.
Huh, I don't know those. All right, I'll go take a look at them.
I
didn't mean to interrupt. So tell the rest of your origin story.
So I followed space all the way through school and went to college in Florida, just south of the Space Center, because who wouldn't want to watch all of the Apollo launches go up?
Right. Yeah.
Turned down a couple of job opportunities out of college because I wanted to work in space. And have worked in space, civil space, my entire career.
Mm-hmm.
Many years at Rockwell, a short period at Aerospace Corporation, back to Rockwell, and Boeing bought Rockwell. Had my own company for 5 years promoting reusable transportation architecture from Earth orbit to the moon, and have joined Off-World about 2.5 years ago, building ISRU devices.
Cool. Very cool. I want to dig most into Off-World,
right?
But start with some of the old school stuff that most people don't know about, right? The working on station, working on ISS.
So I worked on the payload interface for Titan III.
Okay.
I was in the development team for the space shuttle main engine. I worked a lot of advanced program studies on transportation architectures, going to the moon, going to Mars, through many years at advanced programs at Rockwell.
See, that's the stuff that I know you from, is the advanced architectures, right?
Right.
The kind of stuff that makes you just stop and think and ponder, like, is that possible?
Right.
Yeah. That's
advanced launch system, new launch system, next human launch system. I mean, you name it. We looked at these things a lot of times. I was the program manager for Boeing's effort on how to implement the vision for space exploration. I also worked on the 1988 version of Space Exploration Initiative.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Those would be interesting days, because that's right after the shuttle blows up, and then you're starting to figure out what's next.
Right. And a lot of Mars missions. How do you do Mars missions with SLS? Not easily.
Not easily. Clearly not easily.
And then the transportation architecture of the moon. How do we get back and forth to the moon? And the key principle was, why don't we land on the moon what we can launch into Earth orbit? So size and architecture that moves the same payload mass from Earth all the way to the moon. That was a driving force. And back then, the maximum payload to orbit was 25 tons. It's now 68. Is it 68 tons on Falcon Heavy?
Yeah.
And soon to be 100 tons and on a Starship, which is just amazing. I mean,
right, but that can't land on the moon.
Well, of course it can.
Without a lot of refueling.
You need lots of propellant launches. In the version 3, what I've read is 1,600 tons of propellant capacity. Not 12,
right?
Which gets us which allows a Starship from Earth orbit, when it's full, to get enough propellant at the gateway to do maybe two round trips to the moon.
Wow, that's nice.
And if you have a depot there, you're going to keep filling it up.
When you have a depot there, not if. When you have a depot there, yes,
there will be depots there. There will be depots.
Yeah.
Both LOX methane and LOX hydrogen, because Blue Origin uses LOX hydrogen, which is something I tried to sell back in the 2004 era, and Boeing said, no, we can't do that, because that's too far ahead thinking for us, for NASA.
Sorry.
Anyway, don't upset your customer.
Don't upset your customer. It's a good rule, right? One of the reasons you had the experience that you had is that you write a lot of proposals that are tailored to the customer, right?
Right. But you should challenge the customer from time to time.
Right.
Yes.
Question their motives. Yeah.
So my advice about consultants: you got to be willing to listen to the bad stuff just as much as you got to listen to the good stuff.
Right.
So talk a bit about the process of, because that is the money in space right now, is getting a government contract. So how do you shepherd that from, I have an idea, to it's flying in the sky? Because there's a lot of cliffs, there's a lot of daggers.
Yeah. Obviously, the best way to do that is to propose what the customer wants.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to go in with an unsolicited proposal and win a contract.
Right. I have never been able to do it. Never.
But SBIRs and those are nice bits of money for small companies, but they take too long. It's too long from turning in a proposal to getting the funding, and they're too focused. They're not. They might give you a widget to fly.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give you a system to make money,
right?
Unless you're going to sell that widget.
Interloon just pulled $1.25 million from Air Force Research Lab this week to figure out how to separate helium-3 from normal helium in kind of a traditional environment, like a down here on the ground environment.
Who got that money?
Interloon.
right.
Rob
I
Myerson.
hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good, but $1.25 million doesn't keep your team fed for very long.
Right, but if you just focused on that one process and not the whole not the whole system,
Right.
the whole architecture to get the stuff to the moon, to operate on the moon, to haul it on the moon, to get it back to Earth, etc. You got that little widget. Now you can buy those other services you need. We have talked to Interloom. We've talked to other people
Sure.
about ability services. But you got to remember, in order to get helium-3, they're going to need to be around they're going to want to be around the equator, and everybody else is kind of going at the poles. But that's okay, because we need multiple spots on the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's focusing on the South Pole, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's not the only game in town. Really want to reassure people. I'm gonna try and get a meeting with Interloon here pretty soon.
Yeah, well, that's where we're going. We're going to the South Pole. We Offworld.
Yeah.
We're in the preliminary design phase of our Offworld Prospector 1.
Yeah.
And we are going to prospect for icy regolith. We're going to excavate icy regolith. We're going to probe for icy regolith. We're going to suck the water out of icy regolith and turn it into oxygen and hydrogen and store it. And we're going to process regolith in the sun and get oxygen out of it.
Nice.
So we're a prospecting, assaying, processing, 2 different regolith types to demonstrate ISRU technologies and whether it's there or not, across 4 of the initial Artemis 3 landing sites that were published, 4 adjacent ones.
So talk a bit about Offworld, because a lot of our folks haven't. Oh, we lost him for a moment.
We lost him.
All right. Well, I'll talk about Offworld.
He's back.
All right, he's back. All right.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No worries. It happens. Talk a bit about Offworld, big idea and history first, and then we'll dig into kind of where you're at now, what you're working on.
Yeah.
I've always been really impressed by Caravala's kind of overall plan. So
yeah, Jim and the other 6 founders started the company in 2016.
Yep.
To develop robotic autonomous mining robots for Earth and the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
We have mines on Earth, and so with development funding from mining companies, they built and demonstrated 2 autonomous mining robots, an excavator and a surveyor, in operational mines. Talk about safety procedures.
Yeah, right.
We also, and that was before, most of that before I joined. And then we also built a 100 kW directed machine to soften the rock face in the mines.
I never heard about that one.
Well, it's on. I think it's on our website, but it's not hidden. And we tested that in both underground and in an open pit mine. We developed a different directed energy device to process or precondition ore on a conveyor belt before it goes to the crushing plant.
Cool.
To again reduce the energy it takes to crush and process. Right. Our office in Luxembourg developed a water extraction unit for icy regolith in conjunction with Luxembourg Space Agency with some of their funding.
Yep.
Took it to about a TRL4 level. That's one of the things that will be on our Offworld Prospector 1. We have a 4-step process to get to industrial scale on the moon. Offworld Prospector 1. Multiple units doing all those processes, plus liquefaction, which we don't do on the first first vehicle.
Okay.
Pilot plant, tens of tons a year.
Tens of tons. Great.
Industrial scale plant, hundreds of tons of product
Right.
to fill Starship with
Nice.
oxygen,
Yep.
or the blue,
Or elevator lifters. Just going to throw that in there.
They don't need propellant. They don't need propellant, but we can ship water to space and make propellant.
Right.
And then the Blue Origin HLS with LOX hydrogen. It needs about 40 to 50 tons of propellant.
So how did the on Earth robots in the mines, how did that play out? There was a fair amount of money involved with that, right?
There was. They passed all of their key performance indicators with flying colors. They
Okay.
exceeded them.
Okay.
The issue boils down to company inertia.
Oh, really?
The people that funded the robots were in the advanced programs.
Right.
Say, quote unquote.
Right. Yep.
People that operate the mine say, "What? We don't want to change the way we do things. What are you talking about?" Kind of like NASA and Boeing and entrepreneurs,
Wow.
So there's still viable things that we can do with those robots in the mining industry. It's just difficult to do it with the embedded way we do things today, companies.
And some of that do you think some of that pushback could be from employees who are afraid of job loss or losing their miners, or because I see it in some other technology?
No, it's more about we don't want to disrupt our process with new things, because our current process works. Our current process works.
Yeah, I get that, because I would, if I was in their shoes, I'd be kind of skeptical too.
Sure.
I used to, so I understand.
Yeah, we do want to make.
Nope, we lost him again. We'll get him. He's back.
There we go. And that that may be a big play with artisanal mines and illegal mines.
Right.
Where we can allow them to produce more without getting killed.
Wouldn't that be crazy if you guys helped the illegal mining business, because they're willing to adapt, and
we can make them legal.
Yeah, right. That is crazy. I have not heard that side of the story yet.
I just had a crazy idea behind black market robots just popped in my head.
That would be a good science fiction story. Yeah. That would be good science fiction.
And our surveyor can be used for any number of jobs. It's got a payload bay in it that we can outfit with any kind of sensor you can think of to do any kind of job you can think of, from patrolling the perimeter to looking for gas leaks, to looking for dead people or injured people in a catastrophe area.
Now, you've got a pretty good sized bot in development now. Can you describe it, or is that restricted?
Oh yeah, we've talked about it publicly. Our Off-World Prospector 1 is, people think about robots going to the moon and they think about CubeSats.
Right.
So we are 5 meters long, 3 meters wide, and 3 meters tall, given the protrusions above the body.
Yeah.
So you won't fit in a shoebox. That's what
and we're on the order of 3,000 kilograms.
That's amazing.
And our peak power requirement is up around 20 kW.
Okay. Are you your power's, because you're mobile, you kind of have to be self-contained. Where's the power coming from?
We've got 3 options. One is a radioisotope option.
Okay.
One is a low energy nuclear.
Old school RTG or something different?
No. RTGs aren't powerful enough.
Okay.
It's called nuclear thermionic avalanche cell.
Well, that's
a Langley product.
Okay.
There are patents on it. You can look it up. Low energy nuclear reaction device that's being developed in Portugal. And the backup is solar arrays and batteries and quick dashes in and out of the PSR.
Okay.
But we want to be able to operate in PSRs as long as we want.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, we really need to be self-contained, and that self-containment has to be low mass and low volume, which the two devices I mentioned are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solar arrays and batteries are not.
Okay. So 15 feet by 10 foot by 10 foot, just to simplify.
Yep.
Is that thing being crafted and built somewhere yet, or is still at the blueprint stage?
A lot of the things we're taking with us have been built and tested.
Okay.
The instruments, the tools, the processing units, you know, it's the chassis, but it's based on what we built for the mines, the excavator and the surveyor. But the system itself is in the early preliminary design phase.
Okay.
We've gone through a conceptual definition. That's why I can give you those numbers.
Yep.
We know we have like 20 different sources for what goes on the vehicle. You know, so a lot of suppliers of technology and instruments and so on. And we're bringing the vehicle and the autonomy and the way to get to the moon, which means, you know, the transportation cost is the real kicker.
Yeah.
What is it going to cost to get to the moon? NASA pays 150, 200 million for Eclipse mission.
Right.
You know, and those are small vehicles.
Right. That's not big enough hardware for you.
Starship is allegedly Falcon heavy capability for Falcon 9 prices.
Okay.
Let's say 100 million.
Right.
I don't know what Blue Origin's New Glenn launch price is because they don't publish it. But if you think of New Glenn and the launch industry and the lander on top, that could be 300 million.
Yeah.
And so 300 million for 3,000 kilograms is what? 100,000 a kilogram to the moon.
Right. Yep.
And what's Astrobotics price? 1.2 million per kilogram.
Right.
I mean, we have the means. We, the industry, have the means to change the cost of getting to the moon.
Oh yeah. No, it's changing. I'm counting on that.
And you know, I've done studies for the Moon Village Association, for AIAA, about the cost of getting to the moon. It's all based on assumptions, so you get what you assume.
Right. Yep.
But I believe, and George Sowers of ULA published the similar numbers 10 years ago. It's possible to get stuff to the moon for 30,000 a kilogram.
That's insane. Really?
And that's kind of a medium number.
Okay. All right. I'm counting on that. Right. I've got a lot of stuff to send. But.
And if you hang your hat on Elon Musk's low price range for a Starship, it could be 3,000.
Right. Yeah. It's you know, this coming revolution. I've said lots of times, the Starship Singularity, the moment that system comes online for real, it changes the world, and the world is unprepared for it. And it's not just Starship, it's Starship and Blue and Rocket Lab and Relativity and Astra and other nations working on other systems. We'll have 10 reusable launch systems in the next 10 years.
And 8 of them will probably be from China.
Yeah, there is going to be a bunch of stuff. They've got.
I mean, they're about to fly. They're about to fly a reusable booster. They've done a hop test with it.
Yeah. So did Japan and Honda, of all things, right? Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, that was early this year or late last year.
Yeah. So we'll have 10 reusable launch systems within the next 5 to 10 years, for sure. So that the price to the moon is about to implode, and that is good for all of us.
The cost to the moon is about to implode. I don't know about the price.
Okay, that's an important distinction.
About money.
I'm kind of surprised my MBA friend didn't make that distinction,
Yeah,
Sean.
you know.
So in our last couple of minutes, we got 6 minutes left. We usually use this time to talk about the future,
Right.
So we break it down into kind of two parts. What does 5 years look like? What is 25 years like? A little bit with the price versus the cost.
Mhm.
But where does that put you? Where does that put Off-World?
Well, 5 years from now, 2030, late 2030, 2031,
Mhm.
we should have people on the moon for 30 to 60 days, maybe 180,
Okay.
with annual missions on the NASA side. I suspect there will be other people going on commercially. We would be one of those. We wouldn't necessarily be people, but we would be one of those customers using that transportation architecture to get to the moon, whatever that is. I believe SpaceX Starship will be a complete Earth to Moon reusable system, and maybe cause the SLS Orion to be set aside for cheaper ways.
Right.
You never know what government will do about their own systems. And we'll also have at least two reusable systems, partially, one fully, one partially, going back and forth to the moon. So that's 5 years. In 25 years.
Wait, just 1 second. I want to throw a curveball. I've never asked any other guest this. This is a new question. Who's going to win, Blue or SpaceX back to the moon?
SpaceX.
Are you sure? You've paused there for a second.
SpaceX.
All right. Okay. All right. I am no longer sure of that.
Yeah, because they move fast.
Yeah.
And Blue Origin took over
years.
a year from the second launch.
Okay, I don't want to derail this. What's the next 25 years? All right, so that was a
50 to 100 people permanently on the moon.
25 years.
Continuously on the moon.
Yep.
Rotating staff. Nobody living there as a home yet.
Okay.
For 25 years, maybe people living there as a home.
Yeah.
You know, and we will have had multiple human missions to Mars.
Love that. 50 to 100 people on a rotational basis. Maybe somebody living. Kids? Are we going to have kids up there by then?
That I don't know. I was reading some articles on that, and I forget where because I don't write them down.
Right.
And there's a lot of concern about gravity and mammal development in lower than 1G, 0G especially. Can you come home? I don't know. But there will be people in the space industry in space that get pregnant and come home. Perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody without a lot of other mammal research will risk birthing children on the moon or Mars in the next 25 years.
Okay, fair enough.
It may happen. I don't know it'll be intentional.
I've been saying for at least the last 7 years that if we're not having kids, we're just camping. And I want to know how we get past that. So, all right, that's fair. All right, well, Dallas, it's always delightful to chat with you. Your wisdom has helped me a lot in some very important ways. So thanks. We'd love to have you back on, and we'll see you soon. Stick around after the show. Okay.
It's been fun. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we've got another wrap for a great show. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to Sean Key. We'll miss Tom Olson. We're going to be on the show on Monday next week, but not on Thursday next week. Hope everybody has a great holiday. We've got Tom Murata back on the show. We've had him once before. He actually came up in conversation today over a spaceport that he was kind of being considered. And with that, for the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, I'm Michael Lane. Sean Keyes, our producer. Tom Olson is our kind of sponsor. Thank you. We enjoy it. Dave Feeney, I just noticed your comment. I'm glad you were here. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All righty. With that, we're going to close out. Thanks a lot, y'all. Bye-bye.